much. A couple of false starts by me getting up there, but thank you very much for your attention, audience, and for those online. I want to start off with the elephant in the room for kin. The question I've been asked the most in this last week is what's happening with St Barbara. For those of you who are not aware, St Barbara, a 19.8% shareholder of ours, came on the register back in July, and they gave us a non-binding indicative offer at 16 cents a share last week. That non-binding indicative offer was in the form of a scheme of arrangement, and the scheme requires a 75% vote in favour, and we have a shareholder who owns more than 25% of the company who rejected it. So it couldn't be recommended by the board, and we engaged with St Barbara around that. The offer has been withdrawn by St Barbara. Life goes on, and we're getting on with business. I'll talk a little bit more about that a little later in the presentation, but just an investment snapshot. We're an advanced explorer, 1.28 million ounces in resource, large exploration program underway as well as just completed in the first half of the year. On the back of the disclosure about St Barbara's bid, we've launched a 1 for 6.5 rights issue at 10.5 cents to raise 12.9 million to fund the 2022 program. And really, before the offer last week, this talk was going to be about the technical aspects and the geological aspects of why we like the project. But really, I think people are looking for why I believe we're worth more than 16 cents. So that will come in 4 parts, I think. A strategic location in one of the most active corporately and development areas around Leonora in the whole West Australian goldfield. The quality of the people, both within the company itself and on the register. Thirdly, I think despite having 1.28 million ounces in resource, we've only just started scratching the surface from an exploration point of view, and the technology that we've been able to bring to bear on particularly the Cardinia area so far, I think will stand us in very good stead there. And we, in the December quarter, I think will be development ready. So when we find the partner of choice for the development of this project, we'll be ready to go. The tenement holding and the strategic location, as I mentioned, we're around Leonora. The main part of the project is the Cardinia and Munckton assets in the centre of those concentric circles. 40 kilometres from Leonora, we have some other smaller satellite projects to the northwest and to the to the east, which we've been doing some work on, and we'll touch on one of those today. And we also have 2 joint ventures down to the south of Gwalia, one with Sensor, one with Genesis, on that large red block immediately south of the Gwalia label there. So 2 companies, as I mentioned, Sensor and Genesis, are spending approximately $5 million between the 2 of them to earn between 60 and 70% of those 2 joint ventures. They're both about halfway through those 3-year earnings now. So as I mentioned, very strategically located. Other players in the region, 2 other producers, Dacian at Mount Morgans, King of the Hills, Red 5 are building their 4 million tonne per annum, potentially 5 million plus tonne per annum processing plant there, due to be completed in the June quarter. So within 6 months, there'll be about 10 million tonnes of processing capacity within about 50 kilometres of our 1.2 million ounces. So we think that that's an attractive opportunity for ourselves, and we'll be taking it forward on that basis. The shareholding, as I mentioned, St Barbara at 19.8, Delphi, high net worth German investor who has a number of holdings within a number of other players in the West Australian goldfield with 25%, a block of high net worths, again with about 25% collectively, and retailer investors with about 30% of the register. $7.6 million cash at 30 June, which was the last public statement. Less than that now, but as I mentioned, we have a rights issue running to raise $12.9 million to refresh the cash position for the 2021 period. Management, good blend of exploration, operations, mining, geology, finance. The exploration opportunity, and we'll focus in on the CARDINIA and Munckton projects. CARDINIA is in the centre of that whole picture. We're the dominant land position in a greenstone belt called the Muniri Greenstone Belt. The stripy bit on the bottom left-hand corner there is a thing called the Keith Kilkenny Shear Zone. And Keith Kilkenny has a number of major producers along it, not the least of which is Carosue Dam, about 120 kilometres down to the southeast, owned by Northern Star. And our geological model is very similar to the Carosue Dam model. CARDINIA, and this will get a little geological by design in this next couple of slides that I do. So that's a picture that's about 10 kilometres high by 6 or 7 kilometres wide. We've been focusing on the eastern side of that in the last couple of years, inside that black shape that's on the picture. On that picture, there's about 650,000 ounces at 1.2 grams per tonne across 8 different deposits, but there are a number of other prospects that are not yet in mineral resource that have very exciting exploration results in them, but we haven't focused on those to date, but I think you'll see in 2022 some of those get a bit more attention. We've commenced the Phase 5 program this month, mostly in the Western Corridor on the gravity targets, and I'll introduce you to the gravity images in the next couple of slides, just so you can see what we've been talking about with respect to the gravity. But you know, I think the Western Corridor will be the major focus for this next 6 to 12 months, and I'm expecting a rapid growth in the mining resource from that block of work. This is the gravity image from the eastern side. It's illustrating the light blue, or the blue areas, and the green areas are light rocks, porphyry intrusions, which is the same model as you get at Carosue Dam. The red rocks are mafic rocks, you know, much heavier, and the gravity, and this is very detailed gravity that we've done here, and it's an absolutely fantastic technology that Haynes Gravity have brought to bear for us. You can see the proximity of the high-grade mineralisation all around the outside edges of those porphyry intrusions, and my expectation is in this eastern corridor we're going to be able to extend the mineral resources that we have here all around those, you know, blue intrusions that you see there. Further north of this there are other blue areas, other light rocks. Again, these felsic intrusions is our interpretation. But the other feature that I wanted to point out here is that, you know, some of this mineralisation that we've been discovering extends to considerable depth at very good grade. And so at Helens, you know, 15.8 metres at 3.7 down 260 metres down hole, you know, we're talking about 200 metres below surface. Again, Cardinia Hill, 22 metres at 6, again 180 metres below surface. Rangoon, you know, 3 at 21, about 100 metres below surface, and 3 at 8, again a bit more than 100 metres below surface. So the vast majority of the drilling is very, very shallow here, but when we've been able to extend and had enough encouragement to extend into significant depths, the grade and the widths of the mineralisation have certainly held up pretty well. An illustration of that, this is Cardinia Hill in long section. It's a chute type of system, 2.2 million tonnes at 1.5 in resource, just over 100,000 ounces. Discovery hole here is only 18 months old, so we've brought this on stream pretty quickly, and you can see the tenor of the kind of intersections that we received in the first 100 RC holes and 30 diamond holes. We are expecting that this northern extension, and we've got some indications that there's a third high-grade shoot here, and we'll be following that up with the RC rig in sometime in the December quarter. At Cardinia Hill, it's about just over 1,000 metres of strike length, deepest hole 3.5 metres at just under 10, down 200 metres below surface. So, there's lots of scope for not only a significant open pit here, and the brown line that you see on the slide there is the preliminary open pit design. So we're expecting that we'll be able to extend this into potential underground mining positions as well. This is the Western Corridor. We haven't talked much about the Western Corridor, but this is the gravity image associated with the whole of the project, so at Cardinia. So it's about 7 or 8 kilometres north-south and 5 or 6 kilometres east-west. The red line down the middle is an ultramafic unit that you can see in the underlying grayscale magnetics. And that ultramafic unit divides the Eastern Corridor and the Western Corridor. The biggest deposits here, Bruno Lewis is in the sort of central west, is about 400,000 ounces. It sits in the gravity low position, again, these blue colours. And there's a host of other prospects all up that Western Corridor that we are particularly excited about. The one that we've done some work on is this in this far southwestern corner called Pegasus, brand new project. It's got really strong soil geochemistry across it, so it's not just gravity that we're chasing here. So there's certainly some encouragement in the soils. We're about 10,000 metres through the 15,000 metre air core program there now. 3,000 assays sitting in the assay laboratory. Should be coming back to us sometime late this month or early November is my expectation. But I think you don't need to be too much of a scientist to say, well, there's a whole host of other prospects with at least some indicators. Pelsart, some 1980s RAB work, a single line of RAB that got a couple of intersections, 4 at 5 and a couple of metres at 6 in the middle of a single RAB line that went across the whole thing. So there's certainly a host of other things for us to chase up. Lewis East, again, not in mineral resource estimate, and there's very extensive modest grade 3.5 to 5 gram material in some of the drilling that we've done there. So I think what the gravity is really doing for us is giving us a pretty significant and reliable framework that we can now put all this mineralisation together around. So the geos are working full time on the interpretation of this and the drilling programs associated with taking some of these prospects and even pre-prospect mineralisation significantly up the learning curve. To give you an idea of Bruno Lewis, and Bruno Lewis is a classic example of it's our largest deposit, 370-odd thousand ounces, but vast majority of the drilling here is sub 50 metres vertical, and some of the deeper drilling that we've done more recently, particularly on the the northwestern side of that, has yielded some very high grades, plus 10 grams, plus 6 grams over reasonable widths, 10 to 15 or 16 metres. Again, it's a gravity target for us. An example of one of the satellite projects, RC rigs mobilising to this over the weekend, a thing called Mount Flora, about 30 or 40 kilometres to the east. Some outstanding air core results associated with that from the middle of the year. The first program of RC will be a couple of thousand metres, and we'll see what this eastern mineralisation looks like and take it from there with a follow-up program if it warrants. Again, we're doing a gravity survey over this. First time it's ever had any modern technology associated with it. St Barbara and major shareholders, we're very happy to have St Barbara on the register. They've been very strongly supportive of the strategy going forward, and I think that relationship will grow over time. But they've shown a strong technical background in our discussions with them, and certainly some enthusiasm for helping us develop some of the deposits that we have there. So I'm really looking forward to continuing the discussions with St Barbara and them being a long-standing shareholder of ours. So in summary, we're an advanced explorer. As I mentioned, 1.3 million ounces or nearly so. We have multiple targets that we are chasing with this capital raising that we're in the middle of at the moment. And we are moving to operational readiness. Our first project has been with the department for approval since June. So we're expecting that's very close, and that's the first open pit development. The second one will be submitted late this month or early November for an open pit development. But the focus is certainly on making major discoveries, order of magnitude larger than Cardinia Hill. And we think that Western Corridor and some of the things that we've got to follow up in the Eastern Corridor hold great potential for those sizable discoveries. Thank you very much.